I read the book titled Quantified: Redefining Conservation for the Next Economy by Joe Whitworth. It was published by Island Press in 2015. Joe Whitworth is the president of the Freshwater Trust. Several nonprofits combined in 2009 to create the Freshwater Trust, which is a nonprofit organization focused on restoring and preserving freshwater ecosystems in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. He has a Bachelor of Arts degree from Dartmouth College and a Juris Doctor degree of law from Lewis and Clark College, where he specialized in natural resource and water law. The overall message that this book conveys is that conservation efforts are not effective at tackling the challenges of today's environment due to increasing human impact and the continuous rapid decline of environmental health. The author poses the thought that if conservation was approached in a way similar to private sector business, that conservation efforts would see greater success. His approach is referred to as quantified conservation and is based on 5 principles of business. 1, situational awareness. 2, outcomes. 3, innovation and technology. 4, data and analytics. And 5, gain. The first principle is situational awareness, which refers to fully understanding the environmental issue at hand, knowing its causes and effects, and determining the impact that is sought from a conservation project, for example, in order to determine how it should be addressed. Also, it refers to realizing the challenges in addressing environmental issues. There may be obstacles like funding, legal issues like licensing of conservation projects, and sometimes the need to overcome or change public opinion. The second principle is outcomes. Once you are aware of the impact that is sought, we need to require specific quantifiable results for the effort made and funds spent. This will assist in determining a course of action to make results a reality. The author also stresses that we need to require a net environmental gain from projects, not just to maintain the current health of the environment. The third principle is innovation and technology, which refers to using all the tools available to make work more effective and efficient. The private sector has the means to create and innovate at a rapid pace, and it can be used as a resource. Innovative uses can be found for that technology. For example, Google Earth images can be used to monitor habitat degradation or point source pollution instead of human effort surveying on the ground. The fourth principle is data and analytics. Today's technology can also be used to help pinpoint conservation projects that will have the greatest amount of environmental impact. It can also help provide measurable results, monitor progress, and ensure sustained progress. The fifth principle is gain. Value can be attached to measurable results. Private sector investment in conservation will increase if businesses can see a financial gain from conservation efforts. Compliance with conservation best practices will also increase if businesses see that it reaps a financial reward. Overall, I think the first 4 principles that the author lays out are easily understandable. The phrase work smarter, not harder comes to mind. It seems common sense that any endeavor should be goal-oriented, efficient, and use the best resources available. The fifth principle discussed in the book, gain isn't as clearly demonstrated, left me with many questions. The author touches on the idea of an environmental marketplace, similar to the economic market, where environmental impacts can be traded for environmental improvement, but there are no clear examples of how this could be accomplished. First, there's the issue of establishing units of environmental impact. We do have some standards in place for air pollution or water pollution, but what are the units of positive environmental impact that would be determined to offset them? For an example, what is an acceptable standard for habitat destruction or pollution? If a business clear cuts a piece of land to build a factory, can that ecosystem be determined to be relocated? Does a business get a free pass to pollute if they plant trees in a lot next door? Would that offset their pollution? If a business pollutes less than their allotted annual amount, can they sell their pollution credits to another business, allowing that business to in turn pollute more? Also, what entity would set these standards, monitor, and regulate? And how do we ensure that this process is based on science and is not politicized? This book makes the argument that in order to counter the effects of human impact and reverse damage, that quantified conservation needs to be applied on a larger scale, on a regulatory level and organization level that would be responsible for answering those questions. Unfortunately, the author doesn't provide a clear path for coordinating the federal organizations, nonprofit organization, and the local governments that would operate separately and sometimes in conflict with each other. Overall, this book is successful in making the case for quantified conservation in regard to approaching a single conservation project. One example is given about the city of Medford, Oregon. In order to comply with the Federal Clean Water Act, the city needed to find a way to cool water from their wastewater treatment facility before returning it to a local river. These high water temperatures decrease spawning by salmon and increase the likelihood of disease and parasites in the fish population. Instead of building cooling basins, the city used funds to pay landowners to plant trees to cool the water and offset the warm water discharge that was created by the wastewater treatment facility. These plantings also provided habitat, prevented erosion, and created a buffer zone to filter nutrients and pollution from runoff. By this example and other simple examples the author used, the author accomplished portraying how a net gain for the environment can be won while also providing financial incentives for businesses. I would say this book offers good food for thought as an introduction to the topic of quantifying conservation efforts. I would recommend this book to someone with a general interest in conservation or to students beginning their careers in environmental sciences, students that are developing new opinions as they read, or learning new ways that they will approach their work in the future. This book was made to be marketable to a broad audience, An effort was made to make it approachable, which made it a more enjoyable read. It reads very much like a National Geographic or other magazine article. Unfortunately, that approachability left me wanting more information. On a positive note, it made me search out primary sources of information like scientific journals to provide clarification where this book lacked. I wouldn't say this book greatly changed my thinking. I chose it because I am interested in conservation and the economy and how they're often pinned against each other in the media and politics and in business. For me, this can lead to a sense of hopelessness, seeing that no side can seem to agree. Fortunately, this book was able to help me see that businesses and environmentalists may be able to settle on an uncommon goal, but settle on a common outcome in conservation. So I thought it was a positive experience reading this book. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And for the other students in this class, I definitely would recommend reading it to add to your experience of the class.